With the imminent release of Marvel's next top-grossing blockbuster hit, Thor: Love and Thunder, I figured I'd try to get some of those sweet, sweet Thor views rolling in. I don't know if you are aware of this, but Marvel made Thor a woman? No, they made Jane Foster into Jane FosThor back in Jason Aaron's run of Thor. But did you know he just stole that idea from an old What If comic from the late 70s? But before I get started, leave a like for Thor, the Protector of Midgard. And here are some plugs. Issue number 1 of my 5-issue comic book series, Destructo Boy, is now on sale. Destructo Boy is a sci-fi romp following a little robot who is sworn to protect his home of Zephyrus Colonial Space Station, at any and all costs. He's not called Destructo Boy for no reason. Issues 1 and 2 follow a storyline called The Era of Alpha Cardinal. Zephyrus Colonial Space Station is threatened by the sudden emergence of Alpha Cardinal. A mysterious member of a long-lost cult, Alpha Cardinal seeks to rule Zephyrus by any means necessary, even if he has to destroy it. But when Detective Reagan Nightmare is unable to put an end to Cardinal, he has no choice but to team up with a tenacious little robot called Destructo Boy. Physical copies are $9.99 and digital is $5. And if you do buy a physical copy, I will include a free head sketch of any character of your choosing. I also have a Patreon in which I am posting pages from my 166-page horror western graphic novel, A Dead Fish in the Grass. So that is going up there. Now back to the video, I guess. Released in 1978, written by Don Glut with art by Rick Hoberg. This is What If Jane Foster had found the Hammer of Thor?
You'll behold in breathless wonder the God of Thunder, mighty.
Forced diversity and representation quotas.
The book begins with the Watcher on his typical bullshit of explaining to the reader about how the story actually happened. But what if it was different? The Watcher penetrates the fabric of space into an Earth where the lame physician Donald Blake did not visit Norway alone, but with Jane Foster. They travel around until Cronin ships land. The rocky aliens, who you might recognize as being of Korg's species, spot the humans and give chase because they can't have their cover blown. The two run back the way they came, but Donald falls over and a rock slide sends Jane down into a valley. She runs into a nearby cave where she hopes to find an exit through to the other side for some reason? Is that how caves work? Well, I guess so, because she finds a giant boulder blocking a passageway that she can't move, and falls against an oddly smooth wall, which happens to activate a hidden doorway. And inside, she finds a secret chamber with a wooden stick. Even in the normal universe, how was Thor as Donald Blake ever supposed to find this? I guess Odin went to the Norns and saw that this was his fate to have happen to him. He would be sent to Earth as a human avatar, as a Thorvatar, and I guess would go to Norway and get attacked by aliens, and Odin was like, oh yeah, this is fine to just put here. He'll find it eventually. Seeing no interest in going back to the alien rockmen, she then investigates the stick and takes it to this giant boulder where she tries to move it out of the way. But when that obviously doesn't work, she whacks the stick on the boulder, releasing the Asgardian energy into her form, and she becomes taller, stronger, faster, until she becomes Jane FosThor. She freaks out about why this has happened to her and realizes that there is a large mallet in her hand, which reads the everlasting words,
"Whoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor."
She then names herself Thordis, because she remembers a Norwegian girl she knew from nursing school had that name. Come on, Jane. FosThor is right there. Just call yourself Thor, if anything. Then she lifts the boulder out of the way. Meanwhile, the Cronins have cornered Donald Blake and he stumbles off of a cliff, but is caught by Jane FosThor. She lands Don in safety and heads back to destroy the Cronins. And then the Cronins are like,
"This human is too powerful. We do not know how many more are like this on Earth. And worse yet, Perhaps the males are even stronger.
It's good to know that sexism is always a thing, and no matter what planet you're from. Jane defeats the aliens, they flee, and then she turns back into her human form and heads back to Donald Blake. Meanwhile in Asgard, Loki's back up to his bullshit and pokes Heimdall in the eye with a leaf because of some magical punishment. It's not important. Loki then locates Mjolnir and discovers his brother Thor is on Midgard, so he skips down the Bifrost towards Earth. Meanwhile on Earth, some people are turned into negative versions of themselves. So Jane runs into an alleyway, takes out her hairbrush that she has carved from the stick, and becomes Jane FosThor. She spins her hammer at such high speeds that it acts as a fan for the weird antimatter particles afflicting those people. Then Loki rocks up and he's like, "What the hell is this? How long was I imprisoned for? Did Odin have a daughter? Whatever, it matters not. Thor is the enemy of Loki." Then he tricks Jane FosThor into following him into the sky in just a perfect way as to get the sun to reflect off of Mjolnir and into her eyes, which will act as a way to hypnotize her. So, Loki hypnotizes her and conjures up the form of Thor. He then orders her to return the hammer back to Thor, and Loki's like, "Come on, just give me, him, the hammer. It's his. Give it over." And just as Thor of the 616 universe did, Jane prepares to hand it over. But unlike normal Thor, Jane FosThor realizes that this is a trick and clocks Loki in the face. Then she swings him around and launches him into the air with Mjolnir all the way back to Asgard. Loki is dropped off by Mjolnir, and the Warriors 3 take Loki to Odin, where Loki gives him the joyous news of his favorite son. Odin gets excited that his son has finally learned humility and communicates to Thor to come back to Asgard. Later, Jane FosThor wakes up in bed and becomes Thor. She flies out of the window to discover a voice calling to her from the heavens of space above. She then flies through dimensions or whatever, and walks through the golden city of the Aesir, and everyone is shocked by how hot Thor is. Odin and, I think that's Sif, stand in shock. Odin immediately realizes what happened and gives everyone a recap of the past 18 pages. But instead of trying to find Thor on Midgard, Odin says that Loki is his true son now. It's too much work. He doesn't have the power to do this fucking bullshit anymore. So Jane FosThor asks what happens to her now. Volstagg hits on her. Fandral harasses her, so she clobbers him. Then Odin sends her back to Earth, banishing Thordis from Asgard forever. As Loki just sort of chills in the shadows, smirking. If you're powerful enough to banish Thordis from Asgard, how are you not powerful enough to bring Thor back to Asgard? Anyway, back on Earth, Jane FosThor fights various villains such as Radioactive Man, the Lava People, Mr. Hyde, and Cobra, and eventually joins the Avengers, where Janet is happy to have another woman on the team, and the men are also happy to have another woman on the team. Sometime later, Odin and his advisor Sif watch Jane FosThor and discuss what will happen to Asgard once Odin enters the Odin Sleep. As only Thor's power could guard the realm whilst he slumbers. But Odin refuses or isn't powerful enough to summon Jane FosThor or regular Thor back to Asgard. And meanwhile, this whole time, Loki watches them and schemes and watches Sif stride across the Rainbow Bridge. Donald Blake walks across the beach, regretting never confessing his love and affection to Jane before they grew apart. Then he hears shouting from the water, "A woman drowning!" He painfully swims out to save the raven-haired beauty. Once he reaches her, she stops panicking and kisses him, saying she knew their love would not leave her to perish. Donald Blake shouts that he's not lame anymore. I wouldn't be either if Lady Sif was there, if you know what I mean. They then make their way back to the beach, and Sif's outfit materializes as Don Blake pleads with her to tell him what the hell is happening. She then explains everything we saw on the past 23 pages, and they head back to New York. Then Loki appears to slay Sif and the Thorvatar. They fight a bit, and Sif is vanquished, and Donald Blake attacks Loki, but he's slammed into a brick wall, and then the mystic mallet Mjolnir materializes and mashes Loki's macabre mask. Loki then disappears before any further fighting happens, and Jane FosThor and Don Blake get Sif to a hospital where she quickly awakens. And back in Asgard, Loki, he just continues watching him as he conducts his takeover of the realm. When she wakes up, she realizes that Ragnarok may be upon them. She can feel it coalescing. Don says that he wants to go with them to fight for Asgard. So they all go back to Asgard, and Sif gives Don an enchanted sword. Probably Freyr's magic sword that fights for you or something. But then the villainous monster Mangog appears, and they fight a bunch. And then Odin shows up and shoots him. And all the meanwhile, Donald Blake has his enchanted sword pulled on Loki. Odin then imprisons Loki, again, and thanks the trio for averting Ragnarok. Then he asks for Jane FosThor to relinquish Mjolnir. Odin thanks her for her valiant duties and says that for her deeds, she will be bequeathed with the life of a god. Then Don Blake becomes Thor again. Jane FosThor becomes Jane... Godter? And gets a cool new outfit. She realizes that she lost Donald Blake because of however that Avatar situation works won't be happening anymore, and she's separated from the man she loves. Sif and Thor embrace, and Odin comes over to Jane and proposes to her, and Jane Foster marries Odin? That's how this ends? What? Why? Where did that come from? There's a whole little thing about how, the qualities of Donald Blake are present in his father. But what? She just marries Odin and becomes his queen? What? The end, I guess. I hope you enjoyed this episode of What Is. It's the original Jane Foster becoming Jane FosThor. Please refer to her as Jane FosThor whenever Jane Foster being Thor is brought up. I'm trying to get that to be a thing. I really need it to be a thing because I really think it's funny. And I don't see anybody else calling her Jane FosThor, even though it's right there in the name. It's so clear that we should call her Jane FosThor. Come on. Jane Foster, Jane FosThor. It should be simple. Yeah, this is about this. It's an alright story. I never read the Jason Aaron version of this. It's a cool story. It's about as normal as a What If comic would be. Cool story cool story idea that gets rushed, and then just sort of has an ending that's alright. There's really not enough focus on Jane FosThor, I feel. It's very rushed. There's a lot more focus on Odin and Loki than I expected there to be, or you would hope there to be, since it's all about Jane Foster becoming Jane FosThor. I guess that's why you should check out the actual in-universe version of this, which ran for however long it did. I don't know how many issues that was. I think it was about a year at least. Well, it may have been a couple of years. I don't know, because Jane Foster was Jane FosThor until Secret Wars in 2015. So that was at least 2 years, maybe, of 2 or 3 years? I don't know. I never read it, like I said. Check it out, though. I hear it's good. Let me know what you thought of the book in the comments below. What are your thoughts on the original Jane FosThor? Also, let me know what you're thinking about Thor Love and Thunder. That's what that movie's called. You excited about it? Do you hate it? Whatever. I don't know. Just leave a comment. Check out Destructo Boy, The Era of Alpha Cardinal, Part 1 of 2. Issue number 1 of 5. It gets a little confusing when you say it like that. Again, on sale, etsy.com/shop/Blake T. Wild. Make sure you capitalize the B, T, and W. $9.99 plus shipping and handling. And this is the physical copy that will come with a signature and a sketch. So the signature will be right here in this box, and then right when you open it, there will be a head sketch right here on this first page included in the package. It's going pretty fast, so, get it while you still can, because I don't know really what the print run of this is going to be like. I only have the initial print run of this. I don't know if I'm going to be reprinting it, if I'll just go straight to the second issue. I feel like that's probably what I'm going to do and just sell off the rest of these. So, once it's gone, it might be gone forever. So, go check this out before you run out of time. And hey, you'll get a free sketch with it. Yeah, follow me on Instagram at NotBlakeWild and at Smokey's Videos for updates on my art, my YouTube channel, my videos, whatever I feel like posting on there, really. I guess that's about it. I don't really have much to say. There's a short little video, short and sweet, wanting to get it out before Thor Love and Thunder. Stick around for something quite special, I feel. It's going to be another long video. I can already tell. So stick around for the credits, And I'll see you next time. Bye.